Update 3. The police, after many calls from my GF Dinah, have basically said that our case doesn't constitute harassment and there is no evidence of anything more. Video, but only destruction of property. They said it's largely a civil matter and thus should be handled in civil court rather than criminal. Best believe Dinah is not about to let this go. As for the HOA, we don't have one. And by we, I mean my street. Miles lives on the corner house, so he's on a technically different street. We checked and double-checked, and Dinah helped me sort through some paperwork for good measure. Nope. My street never had one and never signed on for one. Dinah was delighted by this. I mean, that hot hellion put all her rainbow projects out and then started talking about rainbowing the house. Like, the whole damn house. She wants to make it a project and for all to call our queer pals together and rainbow paint the exterior, including the garage doors and driveway. I said we should start small, and we agreed that she can paint our front and back porches first, and she found cute lights to shine on the house that can project rainbows, so we have to check with our other neighbors, but I said if they are fine with it, fine, hun. And now ladies, gentlemen, non-binary monarchs, and all, I present to you the frickery. Mr. Miles saw me washing my love's car for her. It was just a thing I wanted to do for her. Not a normal thing I do at all. But she's been stressed, so I was going for the hot girl washing cars thing in part to be cute and silly and was in swimwear. She was calling to me from the upstairs window, whistling and stuff. I laughed. My other neighbors laughed. Mr. Miles came out with a mug of whatever the frick evil drinks, blood of the innocent? Puppy broth? Who knows? Maybe just shitty coffee, and was glaring at us, scoffing when she would come out on our porch with her tea to enjoy the show. Let me be clear, we were not being lewd or anything. She was saying shit like, what are your rates? My car has never been so beautiful. I'll pay you double, it's cheesy shit couples around here say all the time. Maybe the worst thing she said that maybe was less for public consumption was admittedly my favorite thing. Hey, good looking, what am I cooking? I will make it hot for you, implying she will make dinner. I don't know if I ever mentioned it, but Dinah is the best cook but generally doesn't take that on regularly, so her offering was heaven for me. Not. Mr. Miles would ahem loudly, shake his head, do that indignant laugh older folks do, everything, so we knew he disapproved and was in the audience. So we ignored him. And I definitely didn't defiantly stay out longer, flirting with my woman to piss him off solely. Anyway, Mr. Miles was too much of a coward, so sent Paul again. I was done with the car and Dinah made me a cool cocktail. Where we live, outdoor shit in the summer is done nice and early before the sun gets too high, so it was hotter than Satan's but out, and we sat near the fan enjoying just chatting. Mr. Miles had long gone inside anyway, and this is our home. Frick him. We're going to enjoy it. Paul waved as he walked towards us and Dinah said her favorite curses under her breath. He made some small talk with us, but Dinah was frosty with him, so I did most of the answers, but even I was short. But this is the South, so politeness is a bitch. Hard to explain. He said he was concerned about our cameras because it looks like they cover the yards of others and there are kids here and you know what that can look like. I will blame the cocktail, but I was feeling like fricking with him, so I acting dumb. What will it look like? And he was all, you know what I mean, and I was like, nah. What do you mean, Mr. Paul? And that went on for a bit and he just stared at me and did a condescending chuckle and shook his head. Well, we'll see about what everyone thinks, just trying to be helpful given. And he gestures at nothing in particular. I smile as sweet as pie and thank him for coming by, but the cameras don't seem to bother anyone, but I will ask around. He told me to do that and walked off. We had been putting it off, but this spurred Dinah to look into Mr. HOA. He's legit. An officer of the HOA on the street the other end of Mr. Miles's / Suga's house. But Suga has been in the hospital for surgery and won't be back for at least a few days. She has a daughter I keep tabs with who has been in town to help care for her. When I talked to my own mother, she sounded annoyed about the situation as a whole and asked if I would mind if she herself had a discussion with Miles. She grew up with him, so I said that was up to her. She said, great. In that way that I knew she would be calling him. This morning, Daniel, the other son, caught me as I brought out the trash cans. I was surprised because he doesn't live there, so I don't often see him. Small talk blah blah blah, and then he gets close and says that he's sorry about the whole thing with his dad, but I should be warned that he got into quite mood after talking with my parents, I assume mom, and to tread lightly. I thanked him and went back in to tell Dinah. Dinah was in the nook, like a half-room bay window situation where Pop used to smoke, and she had gift stuff out like gift bags and ribbon. I was trying to figure if I had forgotten a birthday or something, and she just giggled and told me to come here. Rainbow flags. A lot of mini ones. Stuffed in a bright gift bag. I just looked at her like, baby no, and she just shrugged saying she was the newbie here and wanted to be a good neighbor. To her credit, there are more than one gift bags and she is dropping them off as I write to every house on the street, but I know my GF. This is an FU2 to Miles. She said to ask my internet friends, you and a Facebook group I've been sharing this with, for ideas of how to spruce up the place, now that we know there are no HOA restrictions while she's out. So this is an update and also a plea, for the love of God please don't give her too many crazy ideas. Give us some fun ones. I am all for painting rocks and patios and shit, but I still gotta live here, you know. Anyways, have a good long weekend if you're in the States. I still have a barbecue to plan. Update 4. Well, the Mr. Miles saga continues, so to pick up from my last post, the barbecue happened. It was fun. Had my parents and chosen family over, open invite to my community, so some neighbors too, and Dinah's twin even came, and by twin I mean they're not actually twins, image that much hotness doubled. Laud. But siblings born on the same day a few years apart. For this I will call him David SM30S. It I never remember. David is also as gay as the day is long and has heard of all the shit Mr. Miles has been putting on. Actually, every single person at the barbecue knew. It was a topic I couldn't escape. Dinah was serving vodka mixed drinks, and you can image what 3 queerdos can come up with after a few drinks. David loudly announced painting party as Dinah went and found every bit of paint we own. Before I could even work through my vodka-infused brain fog, people were painting everything. The porch, my chairs, damn near every rock around my trees, and all the raised garden beds. Now my backyard looks like a gay unicorn had projectile diarrhea and shat rainbows. I like it. We played Lily Allen of Frick You, and other gay-ass songs, sang along. There are rainbow flags inside and outside my home at every window. In the garden, between my pumpkins, they painted half my pumpkins. This is not a euphemism, both cars have those mini flags that stay when you close the window. It was insanity. And the police arrived. They got a call about a disturbance from a neighbor, and we all knew damn well which. My whole street of neighbors were literally right there except him. A quick aside here, but it's not illegal to play loud music during the day here. Just after like 8 or 9 or something. So no laws were being broken. The cops even admitted that. But they suggested we just keep it down. We thanked them and didn't. It was a fun evening. My mom waited until everyone else left, and she and Daddy were drinking my best wine, just loving this chaos, singing Dinah's praises, gushing over how she's designed the interior of this old house. She did really well, I have to admit. It's updated in here and just brighter and fresher. There was a knock on the door and Mom got it. Mr. Miles stepped in with Paul and Daniel in tow. My southern politeness brain shit the bed, so I audibly groaned at the sight of him. Dinah came back from the kitchen, saw him, crossed through the whole ass room and planted a kiss right on my lips as she handed me a fresh drink and sat right on my lap like a housewife. Mr. Miles asked for a drink. Dinah told him everything is out and in the kitchen, basically to say, frick you, get your own, in nice. His sons went to make him a drink and I politely asked what he needed. He said he wanted to have a take with me, alone. Mom said, and what do you need with my daughter, Miles? And he said that that was between him and me. I said I was drunk and tired, so it will have to wait until morning. He had his drink, made some passive-aggressive comments, wished us a good evening, and said he will come by later. Mom walked him out. He did. The very next day. And sure enough, I was alone. Suga isn't doing well. She's not responding to treatment. They're planning for the worst. I was devastated to hear this. She's like our neighborhood mom. I've known her all my life, she's practically family. So I started to cry. He was being so nice to me, handing me a napkin, speaking to me softly, rubbing my back and telling me to let it all out. So I did. And then right when I was able to catch my breath and calm down, he said he wanted to tell me in person. I told him that was appreciated and I was so sorry for his family. He said, I know. Thanks. That's another reason I wanted us to chat like adults. I know that woman you live with doesn't like me much. And I laughed without meaning to. Not like him? She would piss on his grave and stomp the dirt down to the tune of, hit the road Jack, should the chance arrive. And if she weren't fit for prison, she'd give herself that chance with her own bare hands. Mr. Miles is still being nice and says that he knows I am the reasonable one. And that we had our fun, but this tantrum of ours needs to end. Suga will be coming home to live out her time and he doesn't want her to see our mess of a yard. He said it would upset her and he knows I don't want to ever upset her. I will be honest, I was so in my feelings over the news that he almost sounded reasonable to me. Then he offered to have Paul come over and help me make my home presentable again and my brain kicked back in. I stared at this man, who just used the worst possible news a child could share about a parent as a tactic, and the spirit of Dinah came upon me. I very coldly told him to leave, as I have decorating to do. I think he thought I meant to tear everything down, because he left without a fuss. I told Dinah the moment she got home. At this point, her patience was up. She stormed out of the house and for a moment I was like, oh God honey, don't do it, I don't even know where the jail is. And she came back in with bags. She had been shopping apparently, and this part is entirely Yall's fault. She found so many items, including colorful wind chimes. She just held up a few things and asked me to help her unload the rest and I was like arrest. So we spent the whole night decorating the front porch. I will freaking marry this crazy woman. This past Wednesday, Suga got home. I rushed out to hug her and she hugged me back. It was one of those mama hugs that make you want to laugh and cry and let everything out. She held my hand tight and looked at our porch. Then she laughed and said, damn girl, you really leaned in, huh? Then said something was missing. I asked her what and she said my flag. The big one I had in the front. I told her what Miles did to it and a storm went over her whole face. She got quiet and asked me to explain. I said she should rest and it's a long story. She turned to tell her daughter, who drove her, to make some lemonade and that she was going to sit with me on my porch a while. So I told her everything basically in all my posts including Miles' recent visit. She kept her expression steely the whole time. She asked a lot of questions. Then asked me if she ever told me about her first love. I thought she meant Mr. Richard, Miles' late father, and she laughed. She told me a story about how when she was young, before Richard ever asked her out, there was a woman her age who always dressed in suits, which for the time was not considered okay, or normal. People hated her but Suga fell for her almost instantly. She said Dinah reminds her of her and that I seem really happy now that Dinah has moved in. Then she looked at me so serious and said, so are you? And I went inside to show her the ring I had long bought and that I am going to marry that woman if she'll have me. She smiled and patted my cheek, kissed my hand and went home. Yesterday my daddy called and said, hey what's this about a wedding? And I was like what? And he said that he's not supposed to be telling me this so don't tell mom, but she and Suga had a long phone call and Suga wanted to pay for my wedding. Not some of it. The whole damn thing. This is already long sorry, I swear I am skipping a lot here but I was obviously floored. There's paperwork involved and mom is working with Suga on it and daddy said, well, I guess you gotta ask that woman to marry you. And I said I intended to. So I am writing this antsy as frick, ring in pocket, dressed up, waiting for Dinah to come home from the salon so we can have date night. Mr. Miles is about to have a complete conniption. Wish me luck.